Hello and welcome to our second episode of Dominion 6 Lore, where we're going to be looking at the story behind every nation and its people. So for today's episode we are going to take a look at Atlantis, a very interesting nation. Not the one you would expect, since the nation has a very interesting species, very similar to the Murlocs in World of Warcraft, in my opinion. So without further ado, let's get started. In the early ages, Atlantis, emergence of the Deep Ones. For centuries, the seas have been the domain of the Tridents, but recently, a nation of beings resembling a cross between fish, frog, and human has emerged in the deepest gorges of the oceans. The race is not entirely unknown, for there are a few of them who have made shallow coastal reefs their home. But the Trident kings never imagined that there were numerous or powerful enough to form a nation. These Atlanteans of the deeps never stop growing and will live for several hundred years unless killed. The Atlantean society is organized in a strict hierarchy of size and age. The oldest and most cunning Atlanteans have made themselves kings and queens of the basalt city in the deepest reaches of the ocean. The Atlanteans of the deeps use weapons of enchanted basalt made by the basalt kings. In the Middle Ages, Atlantis, kings of the deep. When the star fell into the sea, the basalt city and the dark crystal were destroyed. The reign of the basalt queens was ended and the surviving Atlanteans reformed the kingdom. Atlantis is an underwater nation of strange beings resembling a cross between fish, frog, and human. Atlanteans never stop growing and will live for several hundred years unless killed. The Atlantean society is organized in a strict hierarchy of size and age. The oldest and most cunning Atlanteans are trained as priests or mages. Because the Atlanteans find it difficult to use magic, they often capture human children and train them in magic in the coral towers. The soldiers of Atlantis use spears tipped with living coral shards and wear armor made of coral chunks. The coral is poisonous and is cultivated solely for the purpose of war. In the late ages, Atlantis, frozen sea. With the second fall of Atlantis and the demise of the Coral Queens at the hands of Rayleigh, the Atlanteans were forced to retreat from the seas. A few surviving kings of the deep entered a pact with the sleeping god at the forsaken coast of ice and bones. The Atlantean Agnakut shaman kings led the bone cult and practiced death magic previously unheard of in Atlantean history. The Agnakut have coerced captured Kaelian icecrafters to yield the secrets of their skills, and now most of the Atlanteans use arms of enchanted ice. Even their great city is built on interlinked ice flows. So what did you think of the story of Atlantis? Do you like the Murloc-like species? What do you think of their later methods, like kidnapping and death magic practice? And which era did you like the most? I personally like the early age. If you enjoyed the insight into the nation of Atlantis, then leave a like and comment on what you want me to cover next.